It is somewhere between 2 and 3 in the morning. The house is quiet. You were sleeping deeply somewhere in the most restorative phase of your night when suddenly you are awake. You know exactly why. You make your way to the bathroom, blinking against the light, hoping you will be able to fall back asleep when you return. Sometimes you do, often you do not. You lie there watching the clock, feeling the rest of the night slipping through your fingers. By the time you do finally drift off again, the alarm is not far away. You wake up tired knowing that the cycle will repeat itself tonight and tomorrow night and every night you can remember for the past several years. If this is your life, you are not alone. The medical name for this is Nocturia, and it is one of the most common complaints I hear from patients over 50, particularly from those over 60. It is also one of the most underappreciated thieves of good sleep, of daytime energy, of overall quality of life, and of long-term health. I want to talk with you today, not as a urologist, but as a physician who has watched countless patients struggle with this for years before anyone gave them a clear, practical conversation about it. Because there is a way to drink water, a pattern, a rhythm, a set of choices that can dramatically reduce the number of times you wake up at night to go to the bathroom. It is not a miracle. It is not a cure for every underlying condition. But for many people, the changes are significant, and the improvement in sleep quality is one of those small life shifts that makes everything else better. My name is Dr. Cynthia Ada Yaboa, and today I want to walk you through how to think about water, timing, evening habits, and the broader picture of what produces nighttime bathroom trips. By the end of this conversation, you will have a practical plan you can begin tonight, and the sleep that has been stolen from you may finally start to return. Stay with me. This one is worth your time. Before I tell you what to do, let me explain briefly what is actually happening when you wake up at night to urinate. Because once you understand the mechanism, the changes I am going to suggest will make immediate sense. Your kidneys work 24 hours a day, filtering your blood and producing urine. During the day, when you are upright and active, the kidneys produce urine at a fairly steady rate based on how much fluid you have consumed and how much your body needs to eliminate. At night, when you lie down to sleep, several things should happen normally that work together to let you sleep through without bathroom interruptions. Your body produces a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, which signals your kidneys to slow down urine production during sleep. This is one of the elegant features of how human physiology was designed to work. When you sleep, you should not need to wake up to urinate because your kidneys are producing less urine during those hours. When you lie down, fluid that has accumulated in your legs and lower body during the day, particularly in older adults with any degree of venous insufficiency or mild swelling, begins to redistribute throughout your body. The kidneys process some of this returning fluid, which can add to overnight urine production. Your bladder should be able to hold the urine produced during the night without sending urgent signals to your brain. The bladder capacity, the strength and function of the bladder muscle, and the coordination between bladder and brain all play roles in whether you can make it through the night. As we age, several of these systems can shift. A DH production may decrease. Bladder capacity often diminishes. The prostate in men can enlarge and affect urinary function. The pelvic floor muscles in women particularly can weaken with age and after childbirth. Certain medications affect urine production or bladder function. Sleep itself becomes lighter with age. So the same signals that would not have awakened a 30-year-old now break through the surface of sleep in someone over 60. The result is that the same person who slept through the night without thinking about it for decades now finds themselves making 1, 2, 3, or more trips to the bathroom every night with the corresponding loss of sleep quality and daytime function. Some of this is genuinely age-related and outside our direct control, but a significant portion of it is influenced by something very much within our control, which is how and when we drink fluids during the day and evening. That is what I want to walk you through now. The first and most important principle is this: the timing of your fluid intake matters more than the total amount. Most people, when they hear about hydration, focus on how much to drink. 8 glasses a day, 2 liters, whatever the recommendation. But for the specific problem of nighttime urination, the more important question is when you drink that water, not just how much. The general principle is to front-load your hydration. Drink most of your fluids in the first 2/3 of your day and gradually taper as evening approaches. Let me give you a practical pattern that works for many of my patients. In the morning, when you wake up, drink a full glass of water. Your body has been without fluids for several hours, and this morning glass helps rehydrate you and supports your kidneys in clearing the overnight buildup of waste. This is the most important glass of the day for many people. Continue drinking water steadily through the morning. A glass with breakfast, a glass between breakfast and lunch, a glass with lunch. In the afternoon, continue with steady but moderate intake. A glass between lunch and dinner. Here is the part that matters most. Begin to taper your fluid intake in the hours before bed. Ideally, stop drinking significant amounts of fluid 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep. If your bedtime is 10 o'clock in the evening, your last meaningful fluid intake should be around 7 o'clock or 7:30. After that, sip only if you are genuinely thirsty, and keep those sips small. This is not about depriving yourself. This is about giving your bladder and kidneys time to process what you have consumed before you lie down to sleep. The fluids you drink in the last hour or two before bed are the fluids most likely to wake you up in the middle of the night. The total amount you drink across the day can stay the same. You are just shifting when you drink it. The second principle involves the specific beverages you choose, particularly in the evening. Some beverages are more likely to provoke nighttime bathroom trips than others. Understanding this can help you make better choices in your evening routine. Caffeine is one of the major offenders. It is a diuretic, meaning it increases urine production. The afternoon coffee, the late afternoon tea, the iced tea with dinner, all of these can contribute to nighttime urination, even hours after you drank them. Caffeine has a half-life of roughly 5 to 6 hours in most adults, which means a cup of coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is still affecting your system at 9 o'clock in the evening. If you struggle with nighttime urination, please consider eliminating caffeine after noon, or at least dramatically reducing it. For some people, this single change makes a noticeable difference within a week. Alcohol is another significant contributor. Alcohol is a diuretic, and the evening drink that many adults rely on for relaxation actually increases urine production for hours after it is consumed. Beyond the diuretic effect, alcohol also disrupts the production of ADH, the hormone that should be slowing down urine production at night. So you not only have more urine being produced, you also have less of the natural signal that should be telling the kidneys to slow down. If you drink alcohol in the evening and you wake up at night to urinate, please consider experimenting with several alcohol-free evenings in a row and see whether your sleep improves. Many people are surprised by the difference. Carbonated beverages, even non-caffeinated ones, can irritate the bladder in some people and contribute to urgency. If you drink seltzer water or sparkling beverages in the evening, consider whether plain water in the same amount produces less of a problem for you. Acidic beverages like citrus juices and tomato juice can also irritate the bladder in sensitive individuals. Sugary beverages contribute to higher urine output for several reasons, and they should generally be avoided in the evening for both bladder health and overall health. The cleanest, simplest evening beverage is plain water in small amounts, ending 2 to 3 hours before bed. The third principle involves what you eat in the evening because food affects fluid balance more than people realize. Salty foods cause your body to retain water, which then has to be processed and eliminated later. The takeout dinner heavy in sodium, the chips and crackers consumed in the evening, the canned soup, the salty restaurant meal, all of these can contribute to overnight urination because the kidneys are dealing with the extra fluid load that the sodium drew into your system. Try to keep your evening meals lower in sodium. Use the dietary patterns we have talked about in other conversations, with fresh whole foods and less processing, which naturally reduces the salt load. Foods with high water content eaten late in the evening also contribute. Soups, salads, watermelon, and other high water fruits, all of these add to your overnight fluid load. They are not bad foods, but if you are eating them as part of your evening routine and waking up frequently at night, consider shifting them to earlier in the day. The fourth principle, and this is one that often surprises people, involves leg elevation in the evening. If you have any tendency toward fluid accumulation in your legs through the day, which is very common in adults over 50, particularly those with varicose veins, mild venous insufficiency, or who stand or sit for long periods, that fluid has to go somewhere when you lie down at night. Here is what happens. The fluid that has been pooled in your legs gradually redistributes when you go horizontal. Your kidneys process it, your bladder fills, you wake up to go to the bathroom. The solution is to give that fluid time to redistribute and be processed before you go to bed. The practice is simple. About 2 hours before bedtime, lie down with your legs elevated above the level of your heart for 30 minutes to an hour. Use pillows under your legs or a recliner or whatever arrangement is comfortable. During this time, the fluid that has been pooling in your legs will move back into general circulation, your kidneys will process it, and you will likely make a trip to the bathroom while you are still awake. The fluid that would have woken you at 3 o'clock in the morning is now being processed at 8 o'clock in the evening while you are still up and relaxing. By the time you actually go to bed, your system has already cleared much of what would have caused trouble overnight. This single practice, combined with the fluid timing changes, makes a remarkable difference for many patients with nighttime bathroom trips, particularly older adults with any tendency toward leg swelling. The fifth principle is to empty your bladder completely before bed. This sounds obvious, but it is done less well than people realize. When you go to the bathroom right before sleep, take your time. Do not rush. Allow your bladder to empty fully. After you think you are done, wait 30 seconds and try again. Some people find that a second, smaller emptying happens if they give it a moment. For men, particularly those with any prostate enlargement, sitting down to urinate before bed can sometimes allow more complete emptying than standing. This is not a sign of weakness or anything to be embarrassed about. It is a practical adjustment that helps the bladder finish its job. Some clinicians recommend a technique called double voiding, where you urinate, wait a few minutes while doing something else, and then urinate again before lying down. This can help ensure that the bladder is as empty as possible at the start of sleep. The sixth principle is to address the underlying conditions that contribute to nocturia, because for many adults, the nighttime bathroom trips are not just about fluid timing. Several medical conditions commonly contribute to waking at night to urinate, and addressing them can dramatically improve the situation. In men, prostate enlargement is one of the most common causes of nocturia. The prostate sits below the bladder and surrounds the urethra, and when it enlarges with age, it can produce urgency, weak stream, incomplete emptying, and frequent nighttime trips. If you are a man over 50 experiencing these symptoms, please see your doctor for proper evaluation. There are excellent treatments now for prostate enlargement, including medications and procedures that can transform sleep quality. In women, particularly after menopause and after childbirth, pelvic floor weakness, overactive bladder, and changes in the urinary tract can all contribute to nighttime urination. Pelvic floor physical therapy is one of the most underused treatments for these conditions, and it can produce remarkable improvement in many women. Sleep apnea is a major and often unrecognized cause of nocturia. The disrupted breathing of sleep apnea causes changes in the heart and kidneys that increase urine production at night. People with untreated sleep apnea often wake multiple times to urinate, and when their sleep apnea is treated, the nighttime urination often improves dramatically. If you snore loudly, if you have been told you stop breathing during sleep, if you wake up unrested despite a full night in bed, please be evaluated for sleep apnea. Diabetes, when blood sugar runs high, produces more urine and contributes to nighttime urination. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, working on blood sugar control will often improve nighttime urination. Heart failure, when present, causes fluid accumulation that contributes to nocturia. Treatment of the underlying heart condition often improves the nighttime symptoms. Certain medications, including some diuretics for blood pressure, can cause nighttime urination if they are taken in the evening. Often, simply moving these medications to morning resolves the problem. Please discuss this with your doctor before changing any medication schedule. These conditions cannot all be solved through fluid timing alone, but the fluid timing strategies I have described work alongside medical treatment, not as a replacement for it. If you have been struggling with nighttime urination for a long time, the changes I have described are worth trying, and so is a thorough medical evaluation. I want to take a moment now and address something important. I do not want anyone watching this to interpret the advice to taper evening fluids as meaning they should be dehydrated. Hydration matters enormously. Adequate water intake supports kidney function, cardiovascular health, cognitive function, and overall well-being. The point is not to drink less water overall. The point is to drink most of your water earlier in the day so that you are fully hydrated by evening and your system has time to process and clear what you have consumed before you sleep. If you are following this advice and noticing that you feel dehydrated, that your urine is dark yellow throughout the day, or that you feel weak or lightheaded, you are not drinking enough during the day. The solution is to drink more in the morning and afternoon, not to drink in the evening. The pale yellow color of well-hydrated urine should still be your guide throughout the day. The shift is in the timing of your intake, not in the total amount. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Mr. Williams. He was 68 years old when he came to see me, exhausted from years of waking up 3 or 4 times every night. He had been to several doctors. He had tried various medications. He had assumed this was just what aging meant, and he had largely given up on the possibility of sleeping through the night. We went through his daily patterns carefully. He drank water sporadically through the day, never quite enough, and then several large glasses in the evening because he had been told to make sure he was getting 8 glasses a day. He had 2 cups of coffee, one in the morning and one in the late afternoon. He had a glass of wine with dinner and another while watching television in the evening. His dinner often included canned soup or restaurant meals. His legs swelled by the end of each day, but he had never thought much of it. We made changes gradually. He shifted his fluid intake to the morning and afternoon with the final water at 7 o'clock in the evening. He cut his coffee back to 1 cup in the morning only. He moved his wine to weekends only and limited it to 1 glass with dinner. He started elevating his legs for an hour before bed. He made an effort to eat less salty foods in the evening. He took an extra moment to empty his bladder fully before lying down. Within 3 weeks, he was waking up once a night instead of 3 or 4 times. Within 2 months, he was sleeping through about half the nights of the week. He told me he felt 20 years younger. The fatigue that had been his constant companion had begun to lift. I cannot tell you that everyone will see this degree of improvement. Some people have underlying conditions that require more than fluid timing changes, but the combination of better timing, better choices, and attention to leg elevation makes a meaningful difference for the majority of people who try it consistently. That is what I am offering you today. A practical, evidence-supported approach that costs nothing, requires no medications, and may give you back something you have been missing for years. Has anyone in your life ever walked through nighttime urination with you the way we have today? Has anyone explained the timing of fluids, the role of caffeine and alcohol, the importance of leg elevation, and the underlying conditions that may need separate attention? For most people, the answer is no. Most patients are simply told to drink less water, which is incomplete advice that does not address the real picture. If this conversation has helped you, share it with someone in your life who has been struggling with this. A parent, a spouse, a friend who has been quietly exhausted for years. The information matters most when it travels to the people who can use it. And tell me in the comments, tell me about your own nighttime patterns. Tell me which changes you are going to try first. Come back in a few weeks and tell me how your sleep has changed. The community in those comments helps more people than you know. Before I let you go, one final thought. Sleep is one of the most important and most underappreciated foundations of long-term health. The hours you spend asleep are not wasted hours. They are the hours when your body and brain do some of their most important work. When those hours are repeatedly broken by nighttime bathroom trips, the cost extends far beyond the moment of waking. It accumulates across years in fatigue, in cognitive decline, in cardiovascular strain, in mood, in quality of life. Protecting your sleep is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and for the people who love you and want you around. The fluid timing strategies I have described tonight are a small piece of that protection. Combined with everything else you do to take care of yourself, they can return to you something that has been quietly stolen, perhaps for many years. Take what you have heard today, begin small, shift your morning water earlier, cut the evening fluids back, elevate your legs, empty your bladder fully before bed, address any underlying conditions with your doctor, and let the small changes accumulate into something that, over the coming months, gives you back the nights you deserve. Everything I have shared with you today is for educational purposes to help you address one of the most common complaints in adult life. Every person is different. If you have been struggling with frequent nighttime urination, please see your doctor for evaluation. Several medical conditions, including prostate enlargement, sleep apnea, diabetes, heart failure, and others, can contribute and benefit from specific medical care. If you take medications, particularly diuretics or other medications for blood pressure or heart conditions, please do not change the timing of your medications without consulting your doctor. The schedule matters for the reasons your doctor prescribed them, and adjustments should be made together. If you experience pain with urination, blood in your urine, fever along with urinary symptoms, or any sudden change in your pattern, please seek medical care. These can be signs of conditions that require specific evaluation. You are not a chart. You are not a complaint that has to be tolerated. You are a human being whose sleep matters, whose comfort matters, and whose quality of life is worth every small thoughtful change you can make. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for caring enough about your own rest and the well-being it supports to listen carefully through a topic that affects more lives than most of us realize. And thank you most of all for being willing to believe that the small things done faithfully can return to you the nights of sleep that you may have given up hope of having again. Take care of yourself. Time your water well, lift your legs, sleep through the night, and I will see you next time.